Bitcoin is an extraordinarily disruptive, beneficial technology to the entire energy industry. And as I studied it, it became clear to me that it's the highest value use of intermittent energy. It's the highest value use of renewable energy. It's the highest value use of wasted or stranded energy. And it's just the highest value use of energy, period. And it's a solution to developing power plants in remote locations. It's a solution to driving up efficiency of plants and driving down cost. And it's a solution to solving any kind of challenging energy problem. And I think as the world understands it, they're going to embrace it. I think Bitcoin is the most efficient use of energy that the human race has yet come up with. I looked at the annual report of Google, and Google puts about $170 or $180 billion of energy into their business to create $1.8 trillion of an asset. Bitcoin puts $4 billion of energy and capital investment to create an $800 billion asset. So Bitcoin, you put in $1, you get out $200. Google, you put in $1, you get out $10. I studied the entire S&P index and all the annual reports. You put in $1, you get out $4. If you look at a bank, JP Morgan, they spend $1 to generate $3.8 of value. And if you study an airline, they put in $1 to get out 40 cents. So Bitcoin is, it's some 20 times more efficient than Google, and it's 50 times more efficient than a normal company, and it's 500 times more efficient than real energy producers. And I think Bitcoin miners are underappreciated. I mean, they're the path they're the first line of defense against the entire network. They're securing the network. And the way that Bitcoin mining works is they're finding the jurisdiction that has the most political support. So Bitcoin miners are finding political capital. They're finding energy capital. They're finding the cheapest energy. They're finding engineering capital. They're engineering these beautiful Bitcoin mining centers that are heat engineered, very complicated. They're finding technical capital in terms of semiconductors and ASICs. They're putting all that together with the raw energy in order to provide the security to the network, and they're migrating continually to the cheapest power, the most supportive political jurisdiction, and they're instigating upgrades in the technology. And they're doing that dynamically without being told to do it, to the benefit of everyone in the entire ecosystem. I think that's really a beautiful thing. I mean, when you say Bitcoin is savings technology, in a world where everyone's dissipating their energy, the most rational thing is to conserve yours. And so Bitcoin is conservation of energy. You can store your life force in fiat, and you're going to lose 1% to 2% a month. You might lose 4% a month in a collapsing currency or faster. You can store all of your economic energy in credit, and that's not much better. You can store it in equity, but then you take the risk of a company, and you never know when. Like, look what just happened to AMC yesterday, right? Right. If you're going to store your money in AMC or Viacom or Bitcoin, at least Bitcoin has no CEO to print 10 million more Bitcoin overnight, whereas that might happen with an equity. So when we talk about an escape hatch, if you're looking for a safe haven, I see Bitcoin as the most secure, most reliable, most certain thing in the entire economic universe. And if you're looking for some place where you can store your life force or your economic energy, there's no real question. Right? Bitcoin, you can store it and take it with you wherever you want, or you can put it in land in a state subject to a governor, a mayor, a country, or you can put it on the stock exchange and you can worry about what the CEO or the board of directors will do the next day. I think that if you're comfortable in your environment, if you have plenty of wealth and you're in a comfortable situation, then it's in your best interest just to assume that things will go on the way they are. And you can't imagine a change in the underlying physical circumstances of your environment. Like If the ship is sinking and you know the ship is sinking, then you become enamored with the lifeboat. But if you don't know the ship is sinking and you've got the luxury cabin on the ship and someone comes and knocks on your door and says you got to run out and jump in the water right now, you think that it's a nagging problem. So to appreciate Bitcoin, you got to put in the work, but you have to have the motivation. And I think that some people put in a lot of work, learned it and understood it, and then of course they're very passionate about it. Others, they have the motivation, but they haven't put in the work. And then a lot of people don't have the motivation, right? It's not going to change their life, and so they can't conceive of their worldview changing or sinking, because they're just like, whenever I see anybody criticizing, I say, well, what's your solution to people in Argentina? Right? It's like when you're in New York and Manhattan and you're in a cocktail party and then you're criticizing this. Like, what are you saying to everybody else in Africa or South America or Asia or Venezuela? What is your solution to them? I think that Bitcoin critics, as a general rule, they all fall in this category. They all just criticize something that they don't understand that's new. And I've never seen a critic say, I hate Bitcoin. I think that people in the rest of the world should buy, no one says they should buy Apple stock to save their life savings in Africa to avoid having it be stolen by the local government. Nobody says that. So if you don't give a constructive solution to the problem, then you're just reflexively rejecting a new thing. I think for a decade, conventional treasury strategy was I buy short-dated treasuries, and in order to get my stock up, I buy back my equity and leverage up my cash flows. I watched 99 out of 100 of my competitors all go out of business pursuing that strategy. What they do is they either do a dilutive acquisition where they buy another company and they keep bolting on acquisitions until they've got 37 companies and it all falls apart, and then they sell themselves or take themselves private, or they keep buying their stock back and leveraging up. And one way is decapitalizing the company, the other way is diluting the company. What I was doing with Bitcoin was I was saying, I don't want to decapitalize the company. I want to keep the capital or grow the capital, but I want to put an asset on the balance sheet. And I think a big breakthrough is I can convert my cash from a liability to an asset, and then we realize that if that asset's going to go up by more than 10% a year, and you can borrow money at 5% or 4 or 3 or 2, then you should pretty much borrow as much money as you can and flip it into the asset, and why wouldn't you? Look, Ray Dalio says he'd rather own Bitcoin than a bond. There's 100 trillion in bonds. That was a big statement that he made just a week ago.
Right.
Corporate treasuries are holding bonds. As people rotate bonds and cash into Bitcoin, price discovery will return to bonds, and that means that you can buy an annuity for a fair price, and that's good for the world. It would be good to be able to buy a bond that had a good annuity stream. I think the price discovery will return to stocks, and you'll be able to buy a stock that pays a decent dividend that's less risky, and that will be good for the world. I think that you'll be able to buy, if we demonetize residential real estate, you'll be able to buy a house at half the price that's twice as good. That'll be good to the world. And so I think that the virtuous cycle is Bitcoin is demonetizing gold. Your jewelry will be twice as good, half as expensive. Is demonetizing real estate. Your house will be twice as big, half as expensive. Is demonetizing debt. You will be able to buy an annuity that yields 8% interest with no risk. Is demonetizing equity in ETFs. You'll be able to invest in a company and not pay 50 times revenue and take a risk. You'll be able to invest reasonably. And so Bitcoin fixes everything. And it fixes... And if you wish me to make a political statement, the political statement would be, it fixes governments because as it fixes everything else, governments act rationally. And right now, you can see governments acting rationally, right? In weak countries, their currency collapses to zero, and they have to adopt a new currency. Right now, they're adopting the dollar. I see a world where 8 billion people have a mobile device, and they have a digital wallet, and they have a digital currency like a dollar or a euro, and then they have a digital asset, Bitcoin. And Bitcoin links together 8 billion people, links together 100 million companies. It synchronizes the world across political jurisdiction, and it returns rationality to the entire financial system, and it returns freedom and property rights to the human race. I think that a crypto is a living creature. We've released life in cyberspace, and Bitcoin you could think of as a plant life or a plankton. It's a base level life. It's not the most complicated creature. It's not. You could think of it, some of the other DeFis, they want to be animals and run around, and Bitcoin wants to be greenery and cover the entire earth. Once you've released the DNA of the Bitcoin, you just have to let it fester everywhere in the world and let it be it. I think the beautiful thing about Bitcoin is it's done. There's no reason why it can't become a $100 trillion, $200, $300 trillion creature. And the fundamental difference, I think, with a crypto asset like Bitcoin versus what other people are trying to do in this space is the whole idea of a crypto asset is I put my monetary energy, my life force into it, and then I let it live for the next 1,000 years. And it's okay just to be alive for 1,000 years. It's okay to be, what's wrong with being rich forever, right? I mean, and that's what Bitcoin is. And then all of the innovation will take place at the layer 2. I think when Square builds Bitcoin, when PayPal builds Bitcoin into its layer 2, as people build Lightning applications into their applications on the layer 2, I think they're doing all the beautiful, intricate, functional, high-performance things, and they take the risk, they have the upside, but we don't impair the underlying base layer. The life force of the world is Bitcoin. We just got to let it be and respect it for what it is and not mess with it.